Hello, hi everybody. Well, it's absolutely delightful to be back at the DC. So last time I was here, although I wasn't here, it was I think next to Euston. We used to be in Euston. So I'd just come back for care from Somalia, and we've been there kind of covering the famine response for your appeal in 2017. And I'm really hoping, actually, just from an utter vanity perspective, that there isn't a repeat on the recording, because I was sitting on the sofa and the camera angle basically made me look like one of those inflatables out of the Quick Fit fitters. So anyway, so I've worn black today just to be careful. Now today, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me in. I'm absolutely delighted that DC is taking this issue so seriously, because obviously it's a game changer for the sector and for society. So today you've got a great lineup of speakers after me. I'm not including myself necessarily in that, but so Kioma's going to go deeper on gender and digital inclusion. Thomas is going to cover disinformation and media, and Petty is going to talk about AI applications in humanitarian response. Now, ahead of all of that, what I want to give you is a responsible AI architecture. This is about how do we achieve safer, more inclusive, more ethical AI, and critically accountability to affected communities. So this talk is going to cover how you use artificial intelligence yourselves within DC, but also how member organizations use it. So because that is where you have a real huge opportunity as well to influence the sector. So we're going to, hopefully by the end of today, you'll leave with an understanding of why responsible AI and AI governance is actually more valuable than knowing the latest AI tool. And key ingredients for what responsible AI looks like governance frameworks and participation of communities and critically critical thinking. Also, why responsible AI takes a village. And by that, what I mean is fundamentally to making sure that we move into an AI future that is responsible, safe, ethical, equitable. It's human decisions that are going to determine that, and they're going to determine AI safety and inclusivity. And the two foundations I want to focus on a lot today are community participation in AI decision making, and also multidisciplinary teams. And so, together you are that already. So you'll leave with a few key questions to ask yourself, your colleagues, your members, your suppliers and vendors, and also realize how much you already know that can contribute towards responsible AI, whatever your job role is. Okay, so if we can just I just want to get a bit of a temperature check. So, Josephine, could we hit the first Menti question, please? Okay, so if I can ask you to get your phones out. With or without sound, but possibly without. Okay, so what words, feelings, or examples come to mind when you hear humanitarian AI? Words, feelings, or examples come to mind when you hear humanitarian AI. Threat, opportunity, risks, gender inclusive, exciting, improved systems, potential, responsibility, risk, risky, safeguarding risk, slower, interesting, paradox, jarring. I love the fact that opportunity is really big there, and we can talk about what the opportunity is more for DEC. Safety, interesting, environmental impact, better data analysis, authenticity challenge, centralized power. We're going to be talking a lot about power here today. Costly, absolutely. We'll talk about that. Agility, undemocratic, faster response times, dystopia. Okay, I think what this proves is that it is an extremely complex, a complex field, and probably one that often leaves us feeling a little bit overwhelmed. And what I want, hoping for today is you leave here feeling a little less underwhelmed, or with some tools to kind of make it feel less overwhelming. Okay, and so thank you for that. If we could go to the second question then, it's another kind of temperature check. What AIs do you use at work and for what? So you can kind of say which ones you're using or which different systems, and what do you use it for? And at work, focus on the at work, not at home. Okay. ChatGPT, baby. Manus AI, interesting. ChatGPT. And it'd be great if you can add what you use it for. That's really helpful to understand. You can say which one you're using and what you use it for. Claude, ChatGPT, so this is all at work. Notebook, LM, synthesizing, Meta and Google. Google Gemini, Performance Max, Copilot. So Copilot, do you have Copilot do you have licenses individually? Does each person have no? Okay. Searching, Gemini call, note-taking, notes, lovable, initial research, rewording, okay. Stripe Radar, I'm not familiar with that. Zoom AI, okay, to start papers. Okay, so we can see ChatGPT is so Copilot is biggest, interestingly, or perhaps people are saying that they use it as a Copilot. I'm assuming that you mean Microsoft. Yeah, okay. But not necessarily the paid for enterprise version. It's people using the free version. Okay, right, interesting. Okay, so a lot around kind of the kind of back end office stuff, what we need to do to manage all the meetings and summarizing things and research and all of those good things. Okay, thank you so much. If we can go back to the presentation, normal presentation. Brilliant. How satisfied? Very satisfied with the widget so far. Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. If we can pop on to. Lovely. Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Right. Okay, so, sorry, I should have shown that earlier. Now, thinking about DC and artificial intelligence, DC is wearing two responsible AI hats. So both as an organization using artificial intelligence internally, like everywhere else, but also as a funder whose member charities are increasingly deploying AI in their programs. So as a donor, this is a really exciting moment for you guys in terms of how you can influence a shift across the sector for more responsible AI. And so for as we kind of explore that today, that's going to help you also understand how you can use artificial intelligence more responsibly within the organisation as well. Can I just get a quick hand of who's here from outside DC? Who's here from a member organisation? Brilliant. Quick ones. Where are you from? ActionAid, Plan, Save the Children, Save. Action. Hi. World Vision. Okay, brilliant, fantastic. Consent. Okay, fantastic. All right, welcome to. So, and this is, and also, I mean, it's also a massive opportunity for all of the member organisations as well to kind of pause now and think about how are we deploying AI in our programmes. But I really, as I was kind of saying before, I really would love you to go away from today thinking that so many of you, particularly in the humanitarian sector, already have applicable skills, which we're going to see in each of your jobs. Now, I just want to situate us in the here and now and think about. I want to use the example of two recent news stories with about that are featuring AI to show what is happening in the outside world, what we're interacting with when it comes to artificial intelligence, and how the geopolitics and the dynamics or internal politics have, what implications they also have for humanitarian contexts. And these two examples that I'm going to take you through are really instructive for AI's trajectory, because they speak to community voice and participation particularly. They also talk to ethical red lines, to power, to the geopolitics of AI, all of which, of course, have implications with what we do in disasters and emergencies. So I want to start with talking about the controversy around the Ring doorbell ad at the Super Bowl. So hands up, who knows what this refers to? Yeah, okay. A few. Okay, a few. Brilliant. So Josephine, could you kindly play this advert? Was played in the middle of the recent Super Bowl, which, as you might know, has the biggest advertising audience on the planet. If you can go full screen for it first, that would be fab. Okay, it's sound. Yeah, I went right back to the front. That's it. Thank you.
Milo pets our family, but every year 10 million go missing, and the way we look for them hasn't changed in years. Until now. One posted a dog's photo and the Ring app starts outdoor cameras looking for a match. Search party from Ring uses AI to help families find lost dogs. Since launch, more than a dog a day has been reunited with their family. Be a hero in your neighborhood with a search party. Available to everyone, for free, right now. Join the neighborhood at ring.com.
Any immediate reactions? Feel free to.
Terrifying.
Terrifying? Terrifying? Why terrifying?
Because that Big Brother thing. What looking at
Exactly. Exactly. So you're saying Big Brother watching. So the concept, because clearly, when everybody looks at that advert, they're not thinking, oh, wow, now we can use facial recognition on a puppy to reunite it with its owner. Everyone's just thinking, right, we can use facial recognition because I didn't like the look of that person who walked past my door, and I'm going to set that camera running, and that person is going to effectively be hunted down in the neighborhood. It's also quite terrifying about what an absolute tone-deaf clangor of an advert this could be, that people making extremely serious decisions related to artificial intelligence, and these guys aren't like necessarily the Frontier Labs, right? This is a company that is a security doorbell company, but are not sufficiently engaging with with communities to understand, what would people think about this and what are the ethical limitations of this. So that became an absolute lightning rod for controversy over artificial intelligence and surveillance, and also connections with police enforcement services. So last autumn, these guys, Ring, had actually announced a partnership with Flock Security, and the systems, the AI systems that Flock Security use, are being accessed by ICE in the US. Now, following the backlash on social media in response to that advert, 4 days later, Ring announced that it was severing its partnership with Flock Security and said in the statement, actually, just to let you know, we didn't actually ever pass any data to Flock Security, but we decided it was going to be too complicated to do it, but not actually acknowledging anything to do with this controversy. So the lesson for us here is that if you are not engaging with communities, if you are not thinking through ethical red lines, a backlash like that, what it shows is that was community participation in a way, but it happened way after, and it meant that there's huge reputational damage to that organisation. But if you imagine and apply that to a humanitarian context, think about the humanitarian principles involved with that. And think what this means for human rights with different forms of artificial intelligence, and also with its efficacy. Okay, now. Headline number 2. So Simon mentioned I started writing. So the machine rate name comes from I started writing a blog series about 4 years ago, before ChatGPT came out. I became very interested in, or 4 or 5 years ago, I got very interested in artificial intelligence and thinking this. Technology is a societal game changer, and it felt like it wasn't really on our radars as humanitarians. And it felt like the people who were working within AI, or possibly also those people working on digital rights, were aware of it and what impact it was already having in global majority countries in particular, and also particularly in the US, on civil rights. So from that was when I got very concerned about artificial intelligence. So I started writing that blog. It used to be on Medium, but I moved over to Substack recently. So you can find it on Substack with the whole archive. But it's also, if you're on LinkedIn, just find me on LinkedIn, because it's also as a LinkedIn newsletter. So some people find that useful. But I say that because I recently wrote an article about the Anthropic Pentagon controversy. Now, hands up who's heard about that one. Yeah, okay, so a bit more, because that's been in the news a little bit more. Okay, so what happened with this is Anthropic are the makers of Claude, which I know some of you are already using, and recently the CEO of Claude, they already have a contract with the Department of War, as it's now called, under this Trump administration, and within they must be coming up for a renewal or something like that. But anyway, there were contract negotiations. They'd been going on for months, and the CEO said, we have 2 safeguarding clauses we want now embedded in the contract. That is, 1, no domestic mass surveillance. No, domestic, not other surveillance elsewhere is okay, but not domestic in the US. And number 2, no autonomous killing, no use of autonomous weapons without human oversight. Pete Hegseth, Defense Secretary, Trump, etc., were saying these guys are woke liberals. We're not having them dictate how we work in the military. If they don't sign the deal, we are going to label them a supply chain risk, which is something normally reserved for foreign adversaries. So they did this for Huawei, you might remember. And they gave them a deadline until Friday, this week, week before. And the deadline passed, and so the Trump administration has designated them a supply chain risk, and so they can't, which is a major deal. Anyway, you can have a read about it in the Substack. 4 hours later, the CEO of OpenAI being the makers of ChatGPT, signed the deal, but it apparently included, according to the post on X, the same 2 safeguarding principles embedded. So what's going on? So either somehow Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, managed to convince Pete Hegseth in 4 hours on a Friday evening, or there is concern about how malleable the definitions of things like all lawful purpose are when it comes to AI, and what, for example, surveillance means. Now, does surveillance include buying data, personally identifiable information, data off a data broker, and then using AI to triangulate whatever you want to triangulate? Is that surveillance or not? So have a read, because also if anyone remembers kind of all the shenanigans that happened over the Patriot Act and when waterboarding wasn't torture, you might find it interesting. So all this to say, power politics has real implications for citizens, consumers, and humanitarian organisations. And the values that underlie the principles that govern artificial intelligence have implications for all of us, but also for what we're using, and also for procurement of what we're building our AI systems in the field on. So, on the one hand, an AI supplier that we might use suddenly, or our members might suddenly become a procurement risk, we're not able to use them. But also similarly, what if they do something that we no longer would want to be aligned with? I'm not giving you answers, unfortunately, for a lot of these things today, but what I would like you to have is some kind of questions about what are the kind of things that we need to think about. Okay. Now, we're going to come back to all of that, and things like reputational threats and security and safety for affected communities. But what I would like to do first is, could I please have 2 volunteers from the audience? I've made it 2, so it doesn't feel so scary. Do you want to know what before? Sorry, informed consent. All I'm going to get. Sorry. All I'm going to get you to do is, okay, did anyone here go to the Science Museum ever? And did you enjoy it? Yeah? Yeah? You like press buttons and stuff like that, right? It's really fun. All I'm going to get you to do is press the button, and it's not like a nuclear thing or anything like that. I just want you to have a little play on a tool, on an AI tool, because there are some really exciting, whizzy tools out there. And I just want to show you one, and then we're going to talk about it. So who would like to? Hannah, come on. Oh, bless you. Great. Thank you. Great. Okay. So, are you feeling safe, secure? Are you all right? Okay. So do I need to get someone by your side? Are you feeling comfortable? Yeah. Okay. Great. Now, Hannah, what I would like you to do, and I'm going to show you this shortly on part of it on the screen, but I just want you. Let me take this. Oh yes, it's also really tiny. Yes. Okay. So can I get you to say, what can you see up here?
I can see a list of different movement risk assessment platform.
Yeah.
It's kind of militaristic.
Okay. Now, so it's a movement risk assessment platform. So it's actually to assess whether or not it's safe for humanitarian. I'm not going to tell you which organisation this belongs to, but yeah, okay. So what else can you see here?
So then
it's extremely hard.
Select destination route, and then it's got like a number of different routes, and underneath that it's given some kind of level of whether it's low, medium, or high risk, and a percentage next to it.
Okay. And do you want to press on one of them?
Yeah, let's look at a nice safe one.
Okay. Well, is it? So, do you want to? What's this say here?
Run risk assessment.
So you can run a risk assessment on a specific route.
Analysing data sources. Low risk. Movement assessed as safe for the next 24 hours. I'm off. Standard precautions apply. 91% confidence in the model.
Oh, happy days. Okay, so go. We can make the food distribution. That's brilliant. And so what kind of stuff's up here? What does this say? Can you read it?
The displaced population demographic profile is 54% women and girls, 41% children under 12, and 12% elderly, 60 plus.
Okay, so that gives us an idea of what kind of IDPs are in the area and so on. And can you see that bit of there? Because this is all going into the risk of determining whether or not we can travel that day.
Then there's like a slightly red box that says community affiliation data. IDP population, predominantly government-aligned civilian population, Western Alliance sympathisers. 14%, sorry. So the government
Okay.
aligned with 71%.
Okay, and what's this bit down here?
Live intelligence feed, social and news sources. So information about a supply convoy has completed the run without incident.
Okay, where's that from?
That is from X. And then
Okay.
14 minutes ago, and then BBC are talking about coastal corridor, relative calm, ceasefire holds. That was an hour ago from the BBC, and then there's a Facebook one as well.
Okay, brilliant. All right, so what do you kind of summarise that as? What is it that you've kind of seen there?
This has given me confidence because there's loads of data. It looks like the sources are trustworthy to a certain extent. I'm liking low risk.
Nice.
It's green.
Yeah.
91% feels like a solid percentage.
Okay, so you've got quite a bit of and data sources.
Yeah.
If I let you know that this is from the organisation's own, is aggregated own data like protection monitoring and things like that.
Yeah.
That's how they know. That's the conflict sensitivity stuff as well.
I mean, seems good.
Happy? Okay.
Happy.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. Now let's get this up on screen. I'm going to put, and if I can just ask you not to take any photos of this, that would be appreciated. So it's so hard to see. I'm really sorry. I am going to zoom in a minute, and if I had one of those sticky things. So up here, you select the destination route. This isn't interactive now, sorry, it's a screenshot, but it was interactive a minute ago, which is why we saw the high risk one and the low risk one. You go down this, so select destination route, you go on whichever route you want to go down, selected route, and it kind of gives you its quick dashboard up there. Here you understand, who you're going to be, the demographic profile of the IDPs, and that's a live intelligence feed. And over here is kind of the conflict sensitivity analysis. Do you have which kind of groups, affiliated groups, in what areas do you have? Now, does anybody else looking at this have any other thoughts about this? And Chatham House rules, because we don't, it's no organisation that's in this room.
I'm now worried because it says fake.
Oh, yes, sorry. I meant to say, I've just given away my, that was supposed to be the denouement. It is entirely fake. I actually built this with Claude on Sunday morning. And the entire thing, but you interacted with it, didn't you? Yeah. The entire thing is completely fabricated. The data sources are not correct. They're not being pulled from anywhere, but they could be. So I built one. Claude was having a bit of an off day, so it took a little bit, but I'd say all in all, less than an hour to do that. Wasn't bad, was it? Feel free to, if anyone else wants to have a little, yes, yeah.
Yeah, at the same time, if you're speaking about volatile area, 91% with Facebook or BBC feedback, for me I stay home means, where is the community feedback, the acceptance of population, and this is more like, not feeling, but you have really to have a relation with communities and things like that. So yes, agree that you can have all this data coming, but to be frank, 90% is quite high risk still.
91% is quite high risk to travel.
For me, the 9% I will, or you give me 100% and we go, or I don't go with Facebook or BBC feedback, yes.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Okay, interesting. So you're pointing out, can we actually be trusting? And what do you feel about the 91% figure? Because if Hannah responded as quite understandably. I think you used the word "I have confidence to go." I think you used the word confidence, and not least because it says confidence on it, doesn't it? Which is actually a term that happens would be used. Okay, and anything else about that? The specific, the fact of being given a number.
For me, number doesn't really count. Do you have a guarantee from people you will visit and the place will go. So yeah, looking at the source maybe it makes sense if we have really feedback from the community or
Yeah.
others.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure I will use it as a tool for my teams. Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. Yes, please.
I would say that if it's your own personal safety, I want to hear it. I want to hear the voice of someone that I trust and look in their eyes and they tell me it's safe.
Okay,
I wouldn't trust that at all, to be honest, because especially the sources.
and especially the sources.
Yeah.
Okay, and why not the sources? And sources, by the way, include our own data that we've fed in as an organisation that I made up and blew the punchline. So this, for example, could be sources taken from conflict sensitivity analyses, our own team kind of putting in their notes, protection monitoring, UNDSS, the UN security team would be putting, there could be a data line from there. Why would that then still not convince you?
I guess probably because of the timing of things.
Mm-hmm.
Things change so quickly, especially in a fragile context. I don't know, I would want to hear somebody that I know and trust saying, yep, we've done the assessment this morning on the WhatsApp group. Everyone has said this is okay, let's go.
Okay.
Things change so quickly.
So you have picked up also on something so important here. This is a predictive analytics model. Predictive AI works on the assumption that the past is a good indicator of the future. Life and death decisions, do we want to guarantee that in a dynamic zone? Okay, thank you so much. And you've talked about and also I think we're getting this thing about, sources, right? And do we trust everything that we see on X and Facebook in a conflict? And I think also here we've kind of talked about, but actually interesting, none of you have been confident in it, but what could potentially be the impact of being given a 71 or more to point 95% confidence, if it's there in front of you saying 95% confidence, what could potentially be the, oh gosh, I'm looking at the time, the potential impacts of that?
Build a confidence.
And so a fancy phrase for that is automation bias. So without kind of looking at this, and I'm going to now kind of zoom in. So here, what we've got here is, hang on, I'll come back to this one. But you've got these live intelligence feeds here. We don't know what we don't know if we can trust these sources. Al Jazeera, CNN, X, we can put in other, security feeds there. But the danger about if you're not seeing all of the data that that is feeding in to come up with this decision, you can't necessarily interrogate it, and yet you have a single number that looks very convincing, because we are convinced by single numbers. So what this raises also is the idea of explainability in AI systems. So interpretability is about understanding what on earth in the model is working, because this is actually, without getting too technical, but a system like this would involve different kinds of technologies within it, all of which then aggregate, and it becomes very difficult to understand what data has come from, what decisions have been based on, which weights have been put on different bits of the data. I want to also kind of talk about here. So what we had here on our system was IDP, our data here about who is where. So this system is now showing that there's a real concentration of women and girls and children in this area. And if we go to this, what we could say would be the conflict sensitivity data, right? community affiliation data. Now, this is not personally identifiable information. It's talking about, but it's based on our fake NGOs' own protection monitoring, its conflict sensitivity analyses, all our field information, and it's going into there and it's saying who, possibly with some judgments about who is affiliated with which groups and so on. Now, what would be the impact if this got hacked? Any thoughts? Best back, yeah.
Before the slide, to make an area look safer when it wasn't. Make safe area look more risky.
There's that, so we could, so prompt injections, I think you're kind of referring to as well. So we could get the wrong information because the information that we're looking at, because we can't interrogate the data, as we, standing here as a country director, just looks impressive. But the other thing is that this looks, it could be an NGO, but this also could be the CIA, right? If the community sees that you've got this kind of like dashboard, and I think you said straight away, Hannah, that it looks very militaristic, right? If people get a rumour that these guys, we knew they'd been infiltrated, and that's what the information that they've got on us, could be really a dangerous situation. For community instability and also the NGO being attacked. So suffice to say, it is, AI is evolving exponentially, and the temptation, particularly at the moment in the humanitarian sector, is to find the latest cool tool, because we've got no money and we haven't got very many staff left. But really, it is so much more important to understand what safety looks like, what responsible AI looks like, what inclusion questions were asked. You're absolutely right. Was the community involved in anything to do with this system? Absolutely not at all. And this is where for our representatives from the member organisations, probably doing maybe some AI related things or so, and all of the DC as well, have real opportunities to pause and ask those questions. How am I doing on time?
13 minutes, you're doing well.
Oh, okay, good stuff. Thank you. Right, so thinking through about the kind of broad questions we should be asking for any kind of AI system, right? Not just predictive analytics, but others as well. Think about. Sorry, let me just find out where I have got to. Yes. So hopefully what that example has done is kind of demonstrating both the potential of AI applications, but also kind of some of the key questions that we need to ask. Now, I'm going to race through what does responsible AI look like and how do we implement it. I'll talk, but I also want to reassure you, there's also some help on its way, which I'll get to in a minute. So I can't in 10 minutes take you through all of the things that we would need to embed, and that would be a longer thing. But it's okay that we're just going to surface some questions today, and that's the key thing, that for you to know some of the questions to ask. Now, the reason I have put these two points in red, it goes back to the village, because it is so critical to have a multidisciplinary team and the community looking at any potential AI application, because different people bring different things. AI is not just for the tech experts in our teams to work on, nor is it just for the programming, nor is it just for legal, nor is it just for data protection. It's for all of these different. We need to bring in these different skills to how we think about, because different people spot different risks and different opportunities as well, and it really, really is a team effort. And of course, we need the community to feed into the whole process, and I'm going to talk more about that in a moment, but really to contextualize it. When we think about AI governance, it's thinking about who's accountable, which of course should be the senior people, but also who's responsible and who can support them. Thinking about our AI policies. AI policies should be a living document. As Simon was saying earlier, things are changing all the time. And also have people be able to interact with them. And AI literacy, of course. AI and data literacy and budget. We had that earlier as well. Because the thing is, when we are going to deploy particular big systems in the field, there needs to be a budget for technical assurance. Because when AI is released out of the lab and starts interacting with people, it is a different beast. So it's a monitoring and all of those kind of assurance and evaluation. And the data, of course, data is so critical to this, right? And humanitarians, are generally, should be good at thinking about how do we protect data, data privacy, who owns it, and so on. And as we talked about Anthropic and the Pentagon issue earlier, thinking about what are the vendor implications if we've just signed up for a deal with, whoever, are we happy as an organization? Are we comfortable being aligned with that organization? So I'm smiling because I'm just thinking about all of those people who bought a Tesla and then regretted it after early last year. And of course, an impact analysis. So I learned this, that in AI, it's not a risk analysis, it's called an impact analysis. But anyway, it's kind of the same thing. So thinking about what is going to be the impact of artificial intelligence and doing that work prior to deploying even a pilot. So these are all really good questions for you guys internally in member orgs and also DEC. When you see a snazzy new proposal coming across your desk, have all of these things been done and thought through. Now, I'd like to talk about community participation. Now, a couple of things here and a couple of resources that might be useful to you. So a few years ago, when I was trying to kind of break through a bit on trying to centre AI as something that we should really be taking seriously in the sector, sometimes it can be challenging for people to kind of see things straight away, particularly with AI. I think it's shifting now, which is great. But I went rogue and I went to Accenture, which is a big global, you might think, what? Multinational corporation, but it has 9,000 clients, all of whom are deploying AI, and many of them are building it as well. And I asked if they would be interested in working on some research with us at CARE. I had to ask Care, is anyone Care in the room? Anyway, Care came on board as well, which is good. But anyway, sometimes you have to kind of be a bit entrepreneurial, I think, on this particular thing, because AI is moving so fast and the rules don't apply anymore. So we have to kind of work in agile ways sometimes. But so it all worked out, and so I co-wrote some research with Accenture and kind of leveraging the CARE network. And what we did was speak to civil society organisations in 12 countries to try and work out what are the pathways to global South inclusion in the AI lifecycle, as in, so from working out the problems to designing it, deploying it, and I'm going to show you in a second. So feel free to go to that research. It kind of covers 4 pathways, which is about expanding AI literacy, literacy, but also cross-sectoral learning, us with CSOs as well. It's about local decision making. It's about the work we can do on advocacy, and also about digital infrastructure and equitable data governance. So that's kind of a grounding. But I also will take you on to the Safe AI project in a minute, which is about operationalizing it. But really, the key thing to think about is, when should communities be involved in AI decision making? Essentially, it's absolutely front and center throughout the AI lifecycle, and that is really about enabling communities to have not only a say in how an AI system might be developed and designed, but also the right of refusal. And if they do say, we actually don't want this, that organizations will say, right, that's it, we are stepping out, and we are no longer going to, we are not going to impose this. And to get there, that does involve things like meaningful AI literacy with communities, and done in a reciprocal way, so it's not extractive and so on. But all of that good stuff that we would normally do in the field about community participation with any intervention, this is no different, and actually even more important, because the harms can quite easily be masked or difficult to foresee. So they really, that's why it really needs to be surfaced. So first of all, identifying the problem, and maybe AI is not even the solution. Maybe it is a traditional solution, which is going to be the answer to that humanitarian problem. Through co-design, through the development of it, deployment and how it is being deployed, and then the M&E and possibly even decommissioning. So it really is about informed consent. How am I doing? Okay, nearly there. Okay, so responsible AI starts at home. So for any of you thinking about how do we make sure we make AI safer? So first of all, can I just get a hands up vote? And it's a yes, no vote. Is it inherently safer to stick to AI for back-end office functions? So who would vote yes, it is back end, if it's, as opposed to, when I say back end, as opposed to a frontline community facing an app, a chatbot in an IDP camp. I need to know about my services. I go on and I'm asking for help from, Chat's big brother or little brother. Which would be safer? Or back-end stuff, someone's using it in the office, could be here, could be in Syria. So hands up who thinks it's safer back-end office stuff. Okay. No one thinks it's safer to use AI, and you do, yeah. Who thinks it's safer to use it as a chatbot in the field? A couple of things, okay. Good, right, interesting, because most of you have realised that I'm trying to catch you out. But thank you for being game, people who reluctantly put up a hand, because just out of social, oh God, she's asked, no one's supposed to. Which is brilliant. I think you all actually got what I was trying to say, because that's absolutely right, because what is often referred to as shadow AI, so kind of AI being used, and this is not to, because I know it's being used in lots of you said that it's being used in work, ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini, and that is the case everywhere at the moment. That is the case everywhere, not least because NGOs and so on can't afford the licenses for the more data protected things, like Copilot licenses where the data stays within the organization. So one of the most common questions we get, my colleagues on the Safe AI project, is it okay to use ChatGPT in our work? And unfortunately, it's really difficult to answer that because it utterly depends. So the key thing is always always to keep a critical mind when you're using it and thinking about what are the potential implications and impacts of, of data leakage, as in data being, and then data you're putting in, then ending up in a training set elsewhere and so on. I think people are probably familiar now with kind of hallucinations and making decisions based on information that might be incorrect. But it's great to hear you've got a working group already, and what's really important is actually to have an open conversation about it. It's not about shaming people or anything like that, but to get a sense of where you are now, current working practices, and then have a really clear policy that people can feed into, that's living and so on, and then thinking about how we work with these kind of commercial tools. And this kind of thing about AI governance and so on, it doesn't just mean if there was a policy written once and it's on that shelf over there, that's not AI governance. It is a living thing. People need to understand it, they need to contribute to it, it needs to be updated regularly. What kind of AI literacy, training and data protection training is going on. And also, it's about, when I talk about AI literacy, a lot of it is about socio-technical literacy, as what is the impact on the human impact, and that really is the inherent value of being a multidisciplinary team. You guys, basically, you've got this because you already have so many of these skills. Like comms, you guys, you all know about harmful imagery and kind of the ethics around that kind of stuff. Finance, loads of things, but also brilliant at auditing and trails and kind of that kind of stuff. I'm not brilliant at finance, so forgive me if I've just undersold what you do. You do amazing things, and programming teams. Anyone with a humanitarian background or has thought about it, my word. And this is how I got into this, right? Is because the way we think about risk and protection and accountability and inclusion, it's all there. We are uniquely positioned as humanitarians to have a really, really strong influence on responsible AI, and not just in our sector, but beyond. Because we can be, a flagship for others. Now, really nearly finished. If any of this, I know I've whizzed through some kind of throwing, kind of, you could do this, you could do that at you. There is also some more ordered help on its way. I'm currently working with a team which involves CDAC network, if you know them, so communicating with disaster-affected communities, with the Alan Turing Institute, which is the AI and Data Science Institute for the UK, and an ex-Microsoft colleague, and together we have been, we're working on a project funded by the Foreign Office to create the Safe AI framework. It actually stands for Standards and Assurance Framework for Ethical AI, because there is no such thing as safe AI, there is safer AI. Slight issue with the acronym, but anyway, that's okay. So that is on its way, and that will be, the sector should be able to take a lot from that to help deploy AI more responsibly, in the ways we're working here in London or wherever, but also crucially in the field. But on your own, even without that, now and today, with some extra, data and AI literacy embedded, really thinking about that human AI impact, you guys are really, really well placed to make a big difference, and I think you will. Thank you.